Hi, everyone. We'll start in just a couple of minutes. I actually just got an email from the first item on our agenda saying she's running about 10 minutes late. So we can, I'd say, call the meeting to order and move on to the second item on the agenda, but I don't think we have them here either. So we might just need to wait for a few more minutes. Sorry, folks. All right. It looks like we do have the participant for the second item on our agenda. So I'm going to call this meeting to order. We do have a quorum. This is the ANC 1C ABC and Public Safety Committee. We have me, Commissioner Jake Falaskini, and Commissioner Peter Wood, who are both members of the committee. We constitute a majority. It is 7 p.m. We are on Zoom. I'm going to call this meeting to order. First item on the agenda, Commissioner Wood, is to add an agenda item that is just a discussion of a potential resolution opposing the licensing of cannabis establishments within 300 feet of an educational institution child care center or community center. I wanted to add that to the agenda just in case, because I know we told Commissioner, oh my gosh, why am I? Yeah, thank you. That we would add that item tonight. So we can add it, and then if he doesn't show up, we can just drop it at the end. Does that sound good?
I'll second and vote to put it on. It's on. Let's
All right, second. All in favor?
do it.
Opposed? Great. Okay, so it's on the agenda for tonight. Um, we now have our complete agenda. Hold on one second. Let me just copy that. Oops. There we go. And that's on there. Show resolution. Cool. And with that, I will move on to the second item on our agenda because we do not have a representative from precinct 303 on yet. The second item on the agenda is that there's a new medical cannabis license request from Positronics, who has applied for a new medical cannabis retailer license, ABC A127981, located at 2005 18th Street Northwest. I see that Daniel Sims is here on the call, and he is the representative of that establishment. Mr. Sims, can you please raise your hand in oh, there we go, and we'll elevate you to a speaker. All right. Mr. Sims, thank you so much for joining us here tonight. The license that we have for you is for Positronics. It's Abro 127981, as I said. It's a medical cannabis retailer located at 2005 18th Street Northwest. The proposed facility would have approximately 800 square feet of space. Will provide cannabis flowers, cannabis concentrates, and a line of edible products and home delivery services to registered patients in Washington, D.C. Noted as well that you're requesting a delivery endorsement. So if you don't mind just introducing yourself, your business concept, and anything else you'd like the neighborhood to know, and then we can move forward from there. We cannot hear you, Mr. Sims. Looks like talking has been permitted, but we're not getting any audio from you. Do you want to perhaps type into the chat if you're having some issues, just to let us know what's going on? Oh, are you there? We're getting some feed now, it seems like, but potentially. No, you're muted again.
Can you hear me now?
Hey, now we got you.
Right. Sorry about that. Thank you for the
having
patience.
some technical difficulties over here.
No worries. It's really appreciate you joining us, and take it away.
Oh, thank you. My name is Daniel Sims. I'm interested in opening a medical cannabis dispensary on 18th Street. I noticed Adams Morgan, I know parking is terrible. I know the back alleys are really tight. So what we're planning on doing to address that is one for the back alley. I'm planning on like a small dumpster trash can type thing to dispose of the waste. We're not going to have too much trash being a medical cannabis business. We don't have a lot of, there's not going to be a lot of waste. We're not selling food or anything like that. There's not going to be a tasting garden. And the other issue in Adams Morgan is parking. Parking is brutal for everybody. For our delivery service, if we do end up purchasing a car for the business, I figured the best solution is rent a monthly parking space in one of the local garages. Price so far is like $250 a month, so it's extremely affordable. It's probably cheaper than street parking, and that's about it. I've been in the cannabis business on and on for about 30 years now. I did run a coffee shop in Amsterdam back in the 90s, so I'm very familiar with cannabis and the way these things operate and all that kind of stuff. And I just want to, our goal is to bring the best medical cannabis to the community, like everyone else's goal, I'm sure. But we want to provide a safe product with a safe environment for medical patients is our goal.
Cool.
That's about it.
Thank you very much. It sounded like there were two of you there. Did
Oh,
the
yeah.
other person want to jump in?
This is Patrick. This is my partner, Patrick Welch.
Good evening.
Good evening. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you all.
And thank you very much for jumping on. I did have a couple of questions about the space and plans for that.
Please.
So, one of the things that I think is still a bit of an issue while this is a Schedule 1, which hopefully it won't be for very long, is
Yeah.
is banking and what that means for money flow for industries where it's still federally still technically an illegal or an illicit business. And so, what are the plans that you have for security for the shop? What are the plans that you have for money inflows and outflows to make sure that it's not going to become a crime target for the neighborhood and create safety risks for folks here?
Oh, sure. We plan on having armed security at the place every time we're open. He'll be licensed, he'll have a weapon, he'll have a gun. And as far as as far as banking in the cash, there are a few banks that will deal with us as long as you have a medical endorsement. Sandy Springs Bank is probably who I'll be working with. They actually have a branch here in DC. And hopefully, if time allows, the plan is not letting a bunch of cash build up in the store. If we get to the point where there's thousands of dollars there throughout the day, we'll have somebody come and relieve and take it to a bank or something like that.
There'll be a drop safe in a safe room that the cash will be dropped into,
That's it.
and it will be scheduled routinely to be picked up. The minimal amount of product will be left in the store to reduce that factor, and plus our architect will design the security system with cameras and additional lighting that will probably make that piece of property a little bit more aesthetically pleasing rather than a pizza joint, and certainly would provide benefits to the bourbon bar and to the Blackguard next door.
Well, speaking of, and thank you for that. I know that a lot of other establishments that have been seeking the ANC's endorsement have sent us over their security plans. I don't want to get too all into y'all's business, but if you do want to send that over to us, I'm sure it'd be appreciated just so we can see, just confirm that you have all the security stuff that I know ABCA is mandating for these establishments.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, ABRA requires us. We have a security plan. We actually purchased from an officer from the Metro Police Department. So it's endorsed by ABRA official DC City Security Plan.
That's great. Thank you very much. That's great to hear. The other question was about your neighbors. Just I know that you're not going to have tasting inside, but there is still a distinct smell that goes along with these establishments. So are you planning to do anything just to make
When
sure
was the
that
last time you were in the Blackguard?
that's for sure. Man, yeah, that's true. It's not going to be any worse than there. That's
And I'm going to tell the owner that I said that because I know.
You can tell him I said that too. But do you have plans in place just to make sure that, that there isn't kind of outflow of smell that's going out to your neighboring establishments up, down, and sideways?
Well, it's not a consumption lounge, so there's not gonna be any smoking on on the premises or anything like that. And yeah, we'll have two carbon filters in back just to keep the air clean in the shop and all that kind of stuff. But I seriously doubt any smells will be able to escape the shop.
Yeah,
No
Well,
plants, no smoking.
that's right.
All cannabis will be in already pre-bagged before it gets there. So we're not even bagging it on the site.
Yeah, any
cool.
production would be done off-site.
And there's no, and because it's not a tasting lounge, there's no kind of open bags or anything like that where people can see or even smell or look at the product.
Well, traditionally, you have a jar and people look in the jar and you can smell in the jar, but that wafting of smell doesn't go out the door really. I mean, if it becomes an issue, we're going to be good neighbors.
Somebody complains, we will get more carbon filters.
Yes, I mean
taking care of the smell in a dispensary.
The smell out of a dispensary is
it's
minimal.
very minimal. And the little buds in the display jars, after a day, they really don't smell anymore. The smell's gone after 24 hours.
Nation site, on the other hand, whole different animal.
Yeah. Hold on one second. I'm just Captain Lockerman, we should get to you really soon. Thank you very much. I think those were the majority of my questions for the space. I will note, I measured it out. It's 410 feet from the funky place. So it does have that mandatory more than 400 feet from another establishment that's already
Yes.
received a
Just
license.
made it.
Just made it. Yeah, you had that 10 feet. And you're about 430 feet from the next establishment south on, between T and Florida on 18th Street. So you're just in that sweet spot between the two zones.
Do they have a placard up? I didn't notice one down there.
I don't know whether or
No,
not
I don't think they have one yet. I know King Weedy does. Washington Hydroponics, and they're kind of close to us too.
Okay.
I think
cool.
it's going to be myself, King Weedy, and Funky Piece, like you said, right in that neighborhood.
Okay. Sounds good. Yeah, and also would note this is not within 300 feet of a school. The school boundary doesn't start until after the tennis courts. The tennis courts technically are DP are the Parks and Recreation.
Yeah.
So the school is further up. So just to let the neighbors know too, because I know there's been concern about being within 300 feet of a school. I will note that there is a school bus stop like just up across from where the tennis courts are. So, just making sure y'all are really planning to be very careful about no one smoking outside in line, waiting to get in, ensuring that your customers know that this isn't to be consumed right outside, that there are kids in schools and parks right around, and just making sure y'all are being good neighbors that way as well, and not selling, of course, to underage.
Oh, no, absolutely not. Well, we'll have signage up in the store saying consumption is not allowed anywhere around the store.
And we'll have security guards making sure that doesn't happen. Security guard, besides making sure people don't loiter out front, they'll also make sure people aren't smoking around the shop.
That's great. I don't have any other questions. I really appreciate it. I'll just note, y'all are a business like any other business in our neighborhood now, and you're legally allowed to be getting these licenses, and we're happy to have this being a regulated industry, or I'll speak for myself, I guess. I'm happy to have
I
this.
am too. Absolutely. It's been a long road.
Ditto.
I mean, it controls the flow. You know that it's safety checked and safety protocoled. It also creates, taxes for the district, which I think is
Mhm.
really good for
Safer
everybody.
products.
Safer
Much
products.
safer products.
Yep. So just we'll note all of that and just say I appreciate you being willing to be on the kind of some of the folks that are testing out the system. So thank you very much. I'll hand it over to Commissioner Wood if he has any other questions.
Thanks. Yeah, most of the questions I have were asked, so that was great. A couple other things. You've addressed most of the things that we typically have looked out for, like hours of operation end at 9 p.m., which is pretty reasonable hour, things like that. One, just to confirm, I think the answer is yes, but so the pizza and kebab will be out of commission and will not have anything to do with your operations. Is that correct?
They're not very happy about it, but yes, that's correct.
Okay, yeah, I'll have to process that. I've had some interesting memories late at night in that property. It attracts
Sorry
character.
if the kebab place is going.
It's all right.
Not quite
Uh,
room for both of us in that spot, but it would work together probably pretty
I
well.
was asking, yeah. So second thing, when we've asked this before, just considering that there's one school pretty close, and it's a dense neighborhood, people of all ages walk around quite a bit. Do you have any plans to limit or maybe even fully restrict the view of inside the facility from pedestrians on the outside? Like we're aware that it's often a tricky balance. Like we don't want a good faith operator that is operating illicit business to have zero marketing and zero exposure for their business. Of course, that is counterproductive for most businesses.
Mhm.
But we also are aware that having children nearby a place where there might be excessive paraphernalia, et cetera, in visible display, constitutes excessive is obviously debatable. But I'm just wondering if that's something that you've considered. Do you have any plans on just how, like, the street side facade will be orchestrated, I guess?
You want to take it? Or you want me to take it?
I'll start off by
Go ahead.
saying, well, if you live in the building across the street, we're happy to say that we will have no flashing lights, neon signs, or obnoxious lighting on the front of the building.
And paraphernalia is ABRA won't allow us to put any in the window, so none will be in the window whatsoever.
Yeah, that's good.
My thought is to have plants, and I would prefer to put hemp plants in the window, but that's probably pushing the
I don't
envelope.
think we can do that.
But we could like greenery, things that are aesthetically pleasing.
We're going to hire a designer and we'll probably have him do something opaque, something you can't see through. So you can't actually look into the dispensary from the street is the plan.
That's helpful. I mean, of course, there's the issue of, or I guess the layer of the ANC considering support, but also just in general in the communities, just as kind of a word of advice. It seems that there's less risk for people in the general community to get upset and to try to do something with that upsetness if you're less ostentatious about the presentation.
Oh, absolutely. We're all about that. We don't want to upset the neighborhood. We want to be part of the community,
Of
not
course.
a thorn in its side by any
I
means.
totally appreciate that. And I think I've said this on many, many meetings in the past 3.5 years, which is your neighbors are your potential customers. And you
Thank you. I was about to go there. I
Absolutely.
was just about to go there. Thank you.
The
So,
neighborhood hates you, you're not going to have a business.
No,
pretty risky business model to make your immediate neighbors hate you.
no.
It does happen.
That dog don't hunt.
Just one other question. I mean, this is kind of a different way of asking it, but we've kind of, I guess, asked previous applicants because there have been multiple in Adams Morgan this year. Now that this process has changed and the license process has changed.
Mhm.
What kind of challenges, if any, do you expect trying to operate in Adams Morgan? Like, how do you foresee? Of course, it's hard to predict, but is there anything that you expect that would either from a business perspective or otherwise be something that you'll have to address that might be worth for us to just kind of be aware of going forward?
Biggest challenge I can think is parking.
Thanks.
And that really has nothing to do with you guys. That's a DC thing. It's a bit worse in Adams Morgan. It's one of the worst places in town, but it's part of DC. That's what you deal with. And the where I'm going to put my dumpster in the back are the two biggest challenges I can think of. A dispensary, 800 square feet. We don't need much. We don't need a security guard. Yeah, that's probably it. I hope to be in Adams Morgan for a long time. I hope it to be our most productive location.
Oh, that's I get so
Definitely looking forward
one
to
other
it.
question. How many locations do you currently operate? Just out of curiosity.
We're gonna have that one and we're gonna have another one in Blagden Alley. So it's gonna be two so far. I'm allowed to have three. I'm trying to get a third one. We'll see if that
Well, good luck.
happens.
And
I'm
I would
trying.
parking does come across our purview for better or for worse. I'll just leave it at
I
that.
think, yeah, I think I'll be buying an electric bicycle for Adams Morgan for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, well, that's all I got. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right,
Thank you.
that actually did raise one other thing, and
Sure.
apologies for going back. Um, we did have one other establishment that requested a delivery license in the neighborhood. And one of the things we asked is, so we are trying to do settlement agreements with kind of all of these. And so we would love to be able to work with you on a settlement agreement. It's kind of
Absolutely.
Of course.
standard procedure for us in Adams Morgan. Cool. Thank you for being open to that. One of the
Absolutely.
things that we chatted with the other establishment that wants to do delivery is to ask them if they would be willing to do either scooter, bike, or pedestrian
I think
walking.
that's the way to go.
I don't think
Yeah.
there's any question. It has to be scooter.
I'm going to talk to my other partner into that, but I was going to have that conversation with them that we don't need a delivery car. One, it's going to cost
Not for there.
$250 a month to park. Two, the king of DC is the electric bicycle. I mean, that gets around the city faster than anybody. You don't get
That's
stuck. You get wet when it rains is the worst problem, but yeah, that's why we got plastic clothes. I lived in Amsterdam for 3 years. It's this place. It doesn't rain here compared to Amsterdam.
that's great. You're speaking our language. So we would just love it. And not even outside the neighborhood. Look, if you're doing deliveries outside the neighborhood, like have a car for that. That makes sense. But although honestly, for most stuff within close distance, an electric bike is going to get you around faster.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
But for deliveries in the neighborhood, we'd really appreciate it if you all would agree to make a commitment to doing as many of those deliveries as possible by bike, scooter, or walking.
We would love to, and that'll make it better for my marketing. Then I can market a green delivery service.
I love
Electric
that.
bicycles, all electric.
That's awesome. Great. And then how long, this is just off the cuff, but how long do you think it's going to take for y'all to like build out and be up and running?
That placard has to stay up for 45 days. It's been up for about 10. After the 45 days, if we're cool with you guys and we come to agreement, then we can start building. Then we can start get a license. Maybe after
The
2 months.
the current occupants of the space have, I think, they were given 90-day notice. So the build out, it's obviously it's not very big space. So
We got to put a waiting room in there, an electric lock, a few things to satisfy Abra.
yeah,
So it'll take a little while to pull the permits. So we're probably, we're
6
probably
months.
6 months if we're lucky.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're not happy about it either, but that's about as quick as the government rolls.
Yep. Cool. Well, this sounds like a great plan. Y'all seem like great operators. We're excited to,
Thank you.
I will speak for myself. I am excited to support you. And I will now open it up for a vote that the ABC and Public Safety Committee recommends do pass for supporting your application for this license. As noted at the beginning of the conversation, in our full ANC meeting in July.
Second.
Seconded, all in favor?
Uh,
All right, passes unanimously out of committee.
Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much, gentlemen. You all rock.
Appreciate it.
Look forward
Thank
to working
you.
with you in the future too. And the
Same goes.
security plan, when we get it, I'd be happy to email it to you.
Welcome to the neighborhood.
Thank you.
Gentlemen.
Appreciate it.
All right, with that, we will move on to the second item on the agenda. That is a public safety update by Captain LaShawn Lockerman. We're excited to have her here. As always, thank you for your time, Captain. We know you're super busy. Would really just appreciate an update that you have on crime statistics from the neighborhood for this last month.
Yes, how are you? How's everybody? Please excuse me. I was out for a week. I just got back this week. I had bronchitis, so I was really sick. So if you hear me coughing and I have to stop and all that, just forgive me.
Sorry to hear it. I
wanted
hope you feel better soon, Captain.
Thank you. I've had last couple of months have been trying, but I'm not going to go through all of that. And then I topped it off with bronchitis for the first time. I've never had that before, but I'm doing okay. Can I ask you one question? What is the name of that business and the exact location? Because I jumped on about 10 minutes late into his presentation. So what is the name that obviously is going to be a marijuana dispensary?
It's Positronics, and the ABCA license is 127981. Located at
1279. Okay. Posit,
located
P-O-S-I-T.
Yeah, Positronics. And the location is 2005 18th Street Northwest. So it's on that block just north of Florida, in the spot that's currently being occupied by a kebab and pizza place.
Okay. Currently, kebab and pizza.
A pretty famous establishment in Adams Morgan.
I know the kebab and pizza place, actually. So that will be closing.
It will be,
That
yeah.
Okay. And do you know how soon they'll be closing? And is it 30 days? Or because I heard the owner said that it's going to be about 6 months before he's operating.
I think he said it was a 90-day, they got a 90-day warning.
Okay. And if the current owner is still on the line, can I have your name, please? And can you put your email, give me your email address if you don't mind?
If he's on, I can ask him to drop that in the chat, if you could, please,
Okay.
sir. And I can also, I mean, it's on the record already from when he was on earlier, so I'm also fine. Just stating from the license.
I can always email you later.
That
I'm
sounds
actually
good.
not in the office. I'll be going into the office as soon as we finish this meeting. I'm on another appointment. I'm doing dual things, but that's right. Okay. Y'all ready to go over the crime?
Let's do it.
Okay. So we've been looking pretty good in Adams Morgan over the last 30 days. Over the last 30-day period, we had a 0% change in violent crime, and as well as the last 14-day period. However, our property crime has been down over the last 31% over the last 30 days when compared to the same 30-day period last year. And 14 days is going to be 18% when compared to the same time period last year, with a grand total of 7% within the last 14 days and 21% within the last 30 days. Now, in particular, we had 3 specific violent crimes. One was an assault with a deadly weapon. The other 2 are classified as robberies, with one being an armed robbery, the other being an armed carjacking. And the ADW occurred on the 3rd of June at approximately 1:21 in the morning. A complainant suffered from 2 gunshot wounds. He said that he heard shots fired. He didn't see where they were coming from. This occurred in the 1700 block of Euclid. And he said he didn't know where they were coming from. He ran into officers who were in the area. They administered a TCC kit to control the bleeding, and he did survive his injuries. The other armed robbery we had occurred on Columbia. I don't have the exact address, but when I looked up the report, it said the Park area on Columbia Road. At approximately 10:30 on the 7th of June. It's going to be a robbery, force, and violence, where a complainant stated that she had cashed her check, walked to the bus stop, and she was approached by a suspect who grabbed her by the neck and demanded her money. He fled on foot in an unknown location. And then thirdly, we had an armed carjacking that occurred in the 1800 block of Adams Mill Road. The complainant was approached by 3 subjects who jumped out of another vehicle, patted them down, demanded the keys to the vehicle, and drove off. The vehicle was later recovered that day in the 6th district. All 3 cases are still currently open. Other than that, and that was in the last, that is going to be within the last 2 weeks, to be specific. And so other than that, I think that, we currently, what we have going on in PSA, in the 3rd district, is that we have a lot of lieutenants are out in training. So a lot of them are fairly new, and they've also done some recent promotions. So there's promotional training going on right now. They'll be graduating from their promotional training on Friday and coming to the district. So probably I am on vacation next month, If I can, I'll jump on the meeting to introduce the new lieutenant to you. If not, I'll send you an email letting you know who the new lieutenant is and who will be on the meeting going forward. Okay. When is the exact date of the meeting next month?
Next month, we shifted the meeting schedule back by 1 week, so it is going to be July 17th.
Okay. I will be out of the country actually, so I won't be able to be on that meeting, but I will make sure that whoever the new lieutenant is for PSA 303, he'll be on that one. Okay. And I'll
Thank
try to
you.
introduce him to you. He or she. I don't want to be sexist. He or she. I'll try to introduce them to you, whoever it is, before the meeting.
That's great. Thank you very much, Captain. Really appreciate it. The shooting, where the armed assault, where did you say that was? The 1700 block, and I didn't catch the
It
name.
occurred in the 1700 block of Euclid.
Oh, of Euclid. Wow.
Of Euclid. That's what it said. And this happened on the 3rd of June, at approximately 1:21 in the morning. That's
Wow.
the time that I got. All I know basically is what I was able to gather from pulling up the report online, in our internal systems, of course. And so far, I do know that it's an open case. I can't tell you how cooperative or uncooperative the complainant was. I wasn't on the scene.
Okay. Thank you very much, Captain. It's not a homicide, so the victim
No,
survived.
the victim survived. The victim survived, yes.
Okay. And then does the carjacking that took place, is it now being handled by the special carjacking task force group?
Yes, they normally are investigated by them. I can't tell you what their closure rate is. I have no idea whether they're close and closing it. I know that they had another vehicle when the three suspects that approached the complainant was in another vehicle that was probably most likely a stolen vehicle as well. They didn't have that in the report, but that's typically their MO. They usually use another stolen vehicle to again carjack another vehicle. And from what I could read, that another officer saw this vehicle like in the 4th district somewhere, but they fled. And as you know, we have pretty strict chase policy, so we can't just chase somebody for a stolen car. And they attempted, but the car was recovered, and the car was actually recovered later in the day, within the same day. But that happened at 5 o'clock in the morning.
Cool. And you said these were the three violent crimes or serious crimes that took place in the last 2 weeks. Were there
In the
others?
last 2 weeks.
Were there others in the 2 weeks preceding that, like in the full month? What were the
I,
other?
there were two others. I didn't pull up the specifics. It looks like there were two other robberies in the 30-day period. I didn't get the specific information on each one of those robberies. If you want me to get them to you later, I can. But that was it.
Okay, Captain, thank you so much. Commissioner Wood, do you have any questions?
Hi, I just got one. I won't take too much time. So first of all, I hope you're feeling better. Sorry that you had bronchitis.
I'm trying. I'm still coughing. This was rough. I've never had bronchitis before. This was a rough one.
Yeah, I hear it's not fun. So
Thank you.
hopefully your recovery is speedy. And I hope that you get to enjoy a trip after it's all done out of the country. Just one thing, there's one individual who was, I think, recently sentenced to multiple years in prison following quite a bit of property theft. You also noted that there's been a decline in property theft. Do you think how much of that, you don't have to put a number on it, but do you think that's attributed mostly or in great part because of that one arrest and sentencing, or is that too incomplete of a picture of how things have been?
No, which arrest and sentencing? Are you talking about the Red Bull guy that they just had on the news last night?
I don't know, but there was one person, I think there have been multiple local news stories where I think in the SMD that I represent, as well as just kind of like the general Columbia corridor, this guy would go in and he's on a lot of video cameras. I think a lot of neighbors ended up using like Nextdoor to share the videos with each other, and he ended up getting arrested and prosecuted. And I mean, it's probably a broad question, like specifically to that case. I think it's Miranda, something like that. But in general, too, is this something that you're seeing that's very specific targeted arrests and sentencing are having a disproportionately large effect on reducing property crime and I guess other crimes as well? Or is it still something that's kind of persisting independently of that?
Well, I can tell you, looking at my numbers, we have a decrease in property crime. However, we still have an increase in theft and auto. So I can't tell you that. What I can do is I can get some additional information. I don't know exactly who you're talking about, but I can get some specific information on that. And if it was a major arrest across the last couple of months, I've been out in training and then I got hurt. And so I had like a 3-week training class with a leadership class that took me out of the district for a while. And and then I was out on an injury too. So I've been kind of back and forth. So if it's something specific like that, I'd have to get some information from our CID office. I'll speak with the CID lieutenant. His name is Lieutenant Barkin, and get back with you on that one.
Okay, no pressure. I was just kind of curious, just if that's the impression that, because that happened last year as
Okay.
well. It's like maybe 1 to 3 people were responsible for a very large proportion of breaking and enterings. And once they were caught, it just stopped immediately. So just only to the
So I
investigation.
will.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll email him as soon as I get in tonight, and I'll be able to get back with you with that information.
Take your time. Thanks. That's all I got.
I just muted myself thinking I was muted, but I wasn't. It's that kind of night. All right, I open it up to any members of the audience if they want to ask any questions. All right. I think that's all we have for you then, Captain Lockerman. Again, thank you so much for your time. We really appreciate it. It's great having you here, and we look forward to meeting your new lieutenant in at whatever point next month.
Okay. Thank you very much. You all have a great evening.
You too. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
All right. So, Commissioner Wood, it's just you and I. Commissioner Shapiro isn't here. I don't know if you wanted to have a discussion about the potential resolution or if we should just hold off until Commissioner Shapiro's here.
I'd say my thought, well, it's a proposed resolution and I haven't seen any resolution text, so I don't feel comfortable voting for something that doesn't exist or on something. That said, I mean, it's an important discussion and we should probably, I mean, there's also other areas of the city that are getting into it. So it's like, on one hand, it's important for us to also be part of that. On the other hand, it's not something that we singularly have the responsibility of addressing. So yeah, short answer, I don't think we should do anything tonight. It just doesn't seem like it would be super productive.
Agree. Generally, I know Commissioner Shapiro did bring up the litigation that other ANCs are in to limit, these licenses from within 1,000 feet of the school. That seems excessive to me and would basically shut them down in the entire neighborhood in Adams Morgan. I think that's extreme. But I am definitely willing to entertain the 300-foot resolution. So I'm open to having the discussion in the future, but am not willing to have a discussion about the 1,000-foot rule. That seems too excessive to me.
And I'll add, if I'm not mistaken, I think it's one ANC from downtown Chinatown that entered a lawsuit, as well as one community organization that I think was formed specifically to file this lawsuit. So
yeah,
not at the, I mean, it could probably, I imagine in the Palisades, they're are interested as well. But at the moment, I don't think it's multiple ANCs working together. I think it's just one for now, but that could change.
cool. Makes sense. All right. Well, with that, we've gone through our agenda and I will officially adjourn the meeting.